educate and inspire our viewers to become better versions of themselves.
Let's get into it. You're watching the Power Hour. I'm your host, DJ Larry Jones, and I have a very, very special guest joining me today on the show. She's an actress who has a very impressive resume.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, if I try to name everything she's been in, we'd be here for about 2.5 weeks. For a while, right? But if you watch TV, chances are you've probably seen her in something she's either produced or actually acted in. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Shelley Robertson. Shelley, how are you?
I'm good, Larry. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Man, like I said, you are the hardest working woman in show business. I want to jump right into it. How did you even get started in all of this stuff, in acting?
Oh, wow.
You grew up in Philly, right? Was it Philly you grew up in?
I grew up in Philly and I went to college. I went to Emory University in Atlanta. And I was always creative throughout all of, my formative years. I have my family are amazing singers. And so I was always doing stuff, but I wasn't raised to want to be in that little box, that little black box that, we used to have.
Right.
So I wanted to be a lawyer and I went to Emory in Atlanta and graduated with a political science degree. I stayed in Atlanta and was working in city government under Andrew Young and was working on my master's in Georgia State in the evening with the intention of going to law school. Right. And I will contract this story a little bit. I actually decided, okay, maybe I can make some extra money modeling. And so I got an agent. I got some pictures done and I got an agent. And I didn't know that the agent that I signed with was really a television and film agent. And he started sending me out on television and film stuff. And I started booking. My first job was In the Heat of the Night with Carol O'Connor and Howard Rollins, Covington, Georgia.
What was it like working with Carol O'Connor?
You know what it was kind of surreal for me because, like I said, it really was my first job, and I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have anybody. Atlanta wasn't what it is now, right. So I didn't have anybody to ask. I mean, when I got off, when I drove up to Covington, Georgia, I had no idea where I was supposed to go. Did I have a room? I knew nothing. But okay, I got this part. And all I can say though is that these icons. I mean, Howard Rollins had just done A Soldier Story, and it was, and I was in like, oh my God, Howard! I had actually had a scene with Howard in the series, and I was just in awe the entire time. Yeah. I truly was. It was an amazing experience. Yeah.
I can imagine. Now you strike me as a person who always knew what she wanted from early on in your life. What did you want to be growing up?
I wanted to be what I'm doing. I wanted to
really?
be. I actually really sang for my supper. Most of the time, my mother had me in a private school when I was in Philly, but she was a single mother. And so I went over to the principal and said, I want to go here. Can I sing for you? Will you give me a scholarship if I sing for you? And she said, well, let me see what you could do. She was a nun. And I sat down and played the piano and sang. And so they gave me a half scholarship to go there. And so I was always Sunday morning was me sitting in front of the TV watching Shirley Temple. You know what I mean? It was what I always wanted to do. So I'm doing that.
All right. So now you said your first gig was In the Heat of the Night. Was the money was what you thought it was going to be, and said, okay, this is what I was born to do. I'm going to do this. You know, what was it like for you, that first check?
I want to say yes. I mean, now looking back, heck no, they didn't pay me. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's more, in fact, I quit my job at working in city government because I started making more money in this hobby that I was doing than I was making in my job. And so I quit and said, I'm going to be an actor. And I stayed in Atlanta for maybe another year after that, and then pretty much came out to LA.
Right. And what was your follow-up gig?
I think when I first got out here, I really was doing a lot of theater. One of my first jobs out here was for the Mark Taper Forum. They had a traveling musical children's group, and I did an amazing, that was amazing, like 6-month experience. Touring with Equity, which is a union for theater actors. So I became Equity and was you know working towards health insurance and all that kind of stuff. So that I did a lot of theater when I first came out here. And then where I really hit was doing commercials.
Yeah, because I mean, you've been in like 10,000 gazillion commercials,
I've been in a
right?
lot of commercials. Yeah. Commercials have been very, very good to me. And yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
Now
commercials.
you not only act, you do a little producing and stuff like that as well, right?
I do. I did. I wrote and co-directed and produced a web series called Extraction, the series. It's on YouTube, and you can find it on Facebook. And we did that probably right after the pandemic that came out,
Right.
and that was kind of my first foray into that. I don't necessarily call myself a writer or a producer or a director, not yet.
Really?
That was, I'm glad that I dabbled. I'm glad that I got my feet wet and really went for it and did it, because it was an amazing learning experience. And
Right.
I took on so much respect. Did I lose you? Oh, okay, there you
No,
are.
we're back.
I took on so much respect for those other crafts, because
Right.
it's not easy.
Right.
And so, but but not yet. Just doing one to me is not enough to be able to say, oh yes, I'm a director and I'm a writer. And
Right. I was gonna ask you, is it pretty challenging?
absolutely, it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a lot when you're doing it. I had partners. It was 3 other women, and so 4 of us doing it together. But it's not easy. It's a lot putting all that together, all the moving parts, and then you're doing everything. So we acted in it as well. So are acting in it at the same time. You got to get lunch together for everybody.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
an amazing experience, but it ain't no joke. No,
Right. Now, how do you choose your roles and how do you prepare for them?
what? I can't really say I choose them. I kind of, right now, I'm not at that point where,
Right.
scripts come to me.
Yeah, and you're able to turn it down. No, not this one. I'll
Or
wait
so-
on. Yeah.
I do say no, though.
Okay.
I do say no. I have over the past few years taken a much more proactive role in what I do and how much I make and how much I accept. I have, as I've kind of grown into being a mature actor. What has come with that mature stance with 30 years of experience, and what has come with that is kind of being more clear about my value,
Mhm.
and knowing that I set that. Nobody else can set that for me. I set that. You may not agree and you cannot hire me. That's fine. But I set that. And so that has, sometimes it's as we've seen with a lot of the conversation that's been going on, that Taraji has brought up, that a lot of people have begun to talk about. There's a lot of times you're dismayed by how you feel people think of you, especially when you have put in so much time and so much effort and so much love and so much passion into what you do. But I've been really blessed the past couple of years to haven't had. I've been told yes. I've sent back and said no, I'm not going to do it for that. I'll do it for this, and have been amazed. I've been absolutely amazed at the yeses that have come back. So.
Right. Now, would you compromise your personal beliefs to get a role that you really want?
Never. But I'm not sure what that means, because that's a very complicated question for an actor.
Right.
Because as an actor, we kind of like roles that made to the general public seem dark or seem out there, or seen a certain way. But as an actor, you kind of
go into it, and it's a
your
job.
opportunity to work. It's your opportunity to analyze a character and to delve into areas within yourself and to kind of bring that to life and tell somebody's story that people might not like, or people might disagree with, or it's a challenge to be able to make certain people feel human.
Right.
And so it's a hard question to answer, but at the same time, if you're really talking about would I compromise my values,
Right.
no, I
You
can't.
you don't strike me as the type of person that would do
No, I
that.
can't imagine that I would.
Yeah. What do you do to relax? And because like I said, you work a lot. So what do you do to relax? And where's your favorite place to go?
My favorite place is home. I've got two grown
Nice.
children now, and my daughter is in New York. She's a television writer. She wrote an episode of Billions that aired in
Wow.
October. So she's in New York. My son is still living at home, but he is 24 years old, about to be 25, and he is a musician and
Wow.
doing his thing. And so my kids are grown. They're both creative and they're doing their thing, and I love kind of engaging in their lives.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, Larry. It's a little hard to get me out these days. I actually said that for 2024, I was going to get out more, and I
Right.
have been getting out more. But I love being home, and I do have a structure to my well-being, to my spiritual growth, to my mental health. I do have a structure to that. To every day, from the first thing I do is pray. The second thing I do
Mm.
is I meditate. I do transcendental meditation. I do that twice a day. I have a pretty serious kind of workout regimen. I do cardio
Nice.
twice a day and train with a trainer 3 times a week, and not just for the body thing, also just for my mental health, and
Yeah.
absolutely just to keep me kind of sane and kind of grounded. I'm a firm believer in gratitude.
Mhm.
Gratitude has helped me. I believe gratitude has really helped me manifest a career in this very hard industry, to be able to take care of my children, put food on the table as a working actor. I haven't
Right.
had a 9 to 5 in over 30 years,
Wow.
and so, you may not have seen me on a series. I may not have had those things, but there, you can turn the TV on right now and I am somewhere on it. And,
Listen.
and so, and I believe it. I believe that gratitude
Yeah.
has really helped me, man. And I physically, like, every day write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. Then I go
Mm.
over it and read it over and say thank you, thank you, thank you for each one every single day.
That's a
You know,
beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And I want to go back to the mental
powerful.
health. Yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah,
I have a journal right next to me with the list of stuff that long story, but yeah, it's powerful. It works.
it
It
works.
works. Yeah, definitely works. Um, you know, I want you to do a little name dropping. Now, you've worked on Bel
Okay.
Air, CSI Miami, Grey's Anatomy. You did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Talk. Which would you say? And I know you're going to say, well, they all were my favorite, but which was your most proudest moment in
Oh
your
my
career?
gosh. My most proudest moment. Probably I did an episode of right before the pandemic, like right before the pandemic. I did an episode of NCIS New Orleans, in New Orleans. In fact, I when I got home from New Orleans, like a month later, everything was shut down. So it was right before the pandemic, and it was an episode where one of the officers had shot and killed a young black kid. That young black kid was my character's son,
Mhm.
and he just happened to kind of be there. He wasn't doing anything wrong,
Right.
and so the the whole episode was about them just trying to find out what really happened, and whether this shooting should be whether he should get away with it or not. The community was in an uproar. Um, I was in an uproar doing press conferences. I was angry about it. I was hurt about it.
I think I've seen that episode.
Yeah, it's on my tape as well. And LeVar Burton was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
director, which was really amazing.
Big
Um,
shout out to LeVar Burton. Big shout out
oh,
to him.
oh my God, it was just amazing. And I remember the very first scene we shot was um, the scene where I'm coming home from work. I was a nurse. I'm coming home. I'm not coming home. I guess someone had just called me and said, something's happened to your son. I run out my car to go into this field where his body is laying. And the cops and stuff are trying to stop me. And I remember when we were rehearsing it, I'm not a big rehearsal person, especially when it's emotion. And so I kind of, and everybody was around. The producers were around. I think what I learned later was that the episode was really kind of controversial, and they weren't sure what they wanted to do with it. I didn't realize that at the time, but and then I remember LeVar saying, okay, let's shoot it. And so I went to LeVar, and it's important for all of you, new actors out there to know how you're framed, because if they're doing a big wide shot of the whole experience, then maybe I don't have to give as much emotion. I can save some of that. But if you're seeing my face, if you're seeing me, then I got to give everything, right?
Right.
So I asked LeVar, how am I framed, what you're getting? And he paused. I remember him pause, and he looked at me and he said, Shelley, everybody's over there in Video Village. And I need all of them people to understand what you're getting ready to do. So yes, this is a wide shot, but I need you to give this to me. And I did. and that, that always is a proud moment, no matter really what you're doing. When you deliver and you feel like, the crew is crying, and you feel like you affected people, you feel like you're telling this character's story with everything you have and it's working, it uplifts you. And sometimes even in moments of grief, when it's just despair that you're having to muster up, it still uplifts you when okay, I did my job today.
What can we expect from you coming up in the near future?
Well, the last thing I did at the end of the year that aired, I think it aired a couple of weeks ago, actually, was Chicago Med. I did Chicago Med and had some fun with Oliver Platt and some of the characters in that show, and that was fun. The series actually just ended of Double Cross that's on All Black. So I had an opportunity of playing the lead's mother on that the past couple seasons. And so that is running and streaming now on All Black. Obviously Bel Air, you can still catch that second season of Bel Air playing Mrs. Basson. I am actually kind of have a little foray into teaching. I'm teaching a UCLA extension course on performing in commercials right now. So trying to share some wisdom with some young people that want to be actors, and always auditioning and looking for that next opportunity.
I know that's right.
Always out. always.
Yes. It's been a pleasure talking. I thank you so much. I got to give it up for you once again.
Thank you so much.
Shelley Robertson. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Absolutely.
Take care.
All righty.
Bye.